Hello everybody, this is Krista and welcome back to Adventures in Metaphysics. Now today I am really excited to share with you my workhorse decks from the VR challenge created by Simon over at the Hermit's Cave. Now I have been binge watching his YouTube videos over the past few days because I'm a bit, I wouldn't say new to watching tarot too, but within the past year or two is when I've been watching. I feel like there's just like so much I've missed. Anyway, I've been binge watching his videos and of course saw this newer one he put out, and I've been seeing a bunch of other people's responses, and it's so much fun. I love seeing everyone's like real ride or die decks. So I wanted to share my workhorse decks with you. So without further ado, let's just get started. So the first I'll say that the prompts here are sort of attached to different kind of work you can do with tarot, if that makes sense. And of course, for all of these different things, you could use just one deck, two decks, three decks. You know, you don't necessarily need a deck for every single category, but as someone who just really likes variety and aesthetics is kind of just important for me. Things like visually making sense, I guess I'll say. Having certain decks that give me certain feelings works best for me. So anyhow, that whole disclaimer aside, the first prompt is your shadow work deck. So what deck do you use to sort of look behind your shadows and draw them out and pay attention to those? And for me, that is the Somnia Tarot. Now this one just is a shadow work tarot to a T, in my opinion. We've got these sort of obscured figures. The images are a bit dark. And I do feel a personal connection to this deck because, like I might have mentioned before, but the images are taken on beaches on Long Island, which is where I grew up. So I discovered that these pictures were taken really, really close to the house I grew up in, which was super exciting. When I got the shipping notification, you know how you can go on and it'll show you the location of where it's coming from? I just happened to look because when I get those notifications, I need to see like, okay, well, when is it coming? I get so excited. So I clicked on it and I saw that it was coming from Long Island and like Central. So I was like, that's interesting. Like, that's exactly like where I grew up. Let's see like where this person's from. Let's see if I can zoom in. And I could. And it was a town that I visited all the time. It's the town over from my childhood home. So I just feel a connection on that level to this deck as well. But I do find that it works particularly well for shadow work because I think of the obscured faces and the bit of intensity of the images. I do find that these cards pull on the reversed or shadow meaning of each of the tarot cards, which I just think is really fantastic. This is one of the few photography decks that has really, really worked for me. And this is one that I just really felt a connection to right away. Something about these pictures really doesn't let you hide from anything. So this is the Somnia Tarot, and that is my workhorse for shadow work. So the next prompt is the deck you use for inner child work. And for me, that is my Carnival at the End of the World Tarot, which I almost took out Playful Heart. But like I've mentioned before, inner child work feels a bit complicated to me sometimes, where I don't really know necessarily what of the work I do to label inner child work, like true inner child work, where I find that the Playful Heart is one that I use to work on the blocks I feel around just letting myself be the childlike self I am, if that makes sense. So I don't know if that feels like inner child work to me because it's more just bringing out the personality that's already on the surface. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it does. So the reason I chose this one is because this one feels comforting on an inner child level to me, because it appeals to my inner child. This creates just a wild and wacky world with all these carnival characters, which I'm not sure why, but it reminds me of a lot of the books I read as a child. And I can't really explain that connection, but it just, for some reason, does. And so I think if I were to choose work that feels more like inner child work to me, it's when I use this deck, because I pull it out when I'm wanting that comfort like I felt when I was reading those books and sort of being transported to this whole other world. That's what this one does for me. It brings me into its own world with its own characters. Like when you read the guidebook, each of these figures has their own personality and name, and it's just fantastic. It just really brings me to that inner child space. Kind of like when, I keep talking about books, but I was a big reader as a child, but where I work now in the children's library, we have a lot of the books that I used to read, and it reminds me of the feeling I get when I pick up one of those books that I loved and start looking through it again and just being reminded of those good memories. This is what that does for me. So the Carnival at the End of the World Tarot is my inner child work deck. So the next prompt from Simon's original video was your pathworking deck. But pathworking is not something that I do. I am not really good at visualizing. So while I've tried it, because I do think it's a fascinating idea and such a cool way to bond with your cards, it just doesn't work for me. I can't really visualize. It just doesn't happen in here. So I just decided to pick out a whole other topic for myself, and that is my animal spirit work. So this is something that I've been doing a lot of over the past, gosh, maybe even like half a year now? I don't know. A while now, is I've really been focusing on working with animal spirits and animal messages, especially the animals in my surrounding area. That's something that just really interests me. I've always loved animals and felt kind of a connection to them. So anyway, that's something I've really been working with, and my deck that is my favorite for doing so is my Prairie Majesty Oracle in this gorgeous moonlit fae bag now. Isn't that just, I will never get over it. I love special little bags. So this is my favorite oracle, like hands down anyway, but I really particularly love it for working with animal spirit and getting animal messages and things of that sort. It just really gives a lot of layers to each of these animals. You can tell that Kara really paid attention to more than just the standard attribute. We're not speaking, I feel like, in so many of my recent videos, I'm just not getting words out. Anyway, she paid attention to not just the standard attributes of these animals. She really dug deep into what they were like and their habits and their habitats, and based the cards on all of that, which I think is really fascinating and feels so connected. So I really love using this for that kind of work, along with some of my animal tarots. This is always the animal deck I come back to. It's just my absolute favorite. So that is the Prairie Majesty Oracle, and that is my deck for animal spirit work. So next up we have our personal growth deck. And this one, I don't want to say it feels like a little bit of a cheat, but this is a deck that is very new to me. I maybe have had it for about 3 weeks or so now, but it just has made such an enormous impact already that it just hands down is the one I had to pick because I've just felt so much personal growth coming from it. And that is my Brian Froud Faeries Oracle. I just love this deck. The guidebook is amazing. You get so much information on each of these cards. It really builds their own separate personalities and stories and intertwines all sorts of messages. And I just feel like I walk away with something really profound after I pull just one card from this deck. And it feels like I'm really getting to know these characters, and when they pop up, I remember about their stories, and it's almost like meeting a group of friends, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't even feel like they're cards sometimes. It almost feels like pictures of little creatures and spirits that I know. And it's only been 3 weeks with this deck, and I'm already feeling that way, so I can't even imagine, as I continue to work with it, just what it's gonna do. And I don't know, it's one that I resisted getting for quite a while. I kept seeing it in our local metaphysical store. They always carry this one, and I just never picked it up, but always looked at it, always picked up the box. And the last time I was there, I was like, you know what? It's not crazy expensive. Like, let's just give it a try. I'm clearly drawn to it. And there totally was a reason, because this is quickly turned into a favorite and just, again, really feels like I've been getting so much out of it. The book is just, it's incredible. It's like a hardcover book too. It's really nice. So this is definitely my personal growth deck, and this is the Faeries Oracle by Brian Froud. Next up, we have our Ride or Die deck, and this one's probably not going to be a surprise. I feel like a lot of these probably weren't a surprise, but of course I had to pick my Northern Animal Tarot. This is just always the one I'm going to come back to when I'm feeling like I want a reading that is easy for me to understand, gets to the point, but really understands me and what's going on with me. It's always this one. This is just the deck that I feel like will always know me best, and I know it best. Yeah, I've never had a reading from this that has confused me in any way. I just feel like I always know exactly what it's trying to say, which has really been something special. So I know this is gonna be like a forever ride or die for me. This is a deck I've had for a long time now, and that feeling hasn't changed from day one. Like, right from the first time I used it, I was like, oh, this one's it. So this is absolutely my ride or die deck, and this is the Northern Animal first edition. So these next two prompts aren't really talking about necessarily workhorse decks, but I was really excited about these last two prompts. So it is Hello There and Hello Again. So Hello There is a newer deck that we are just getting to know, and Hello Again is a deck that you are reconnecting with, whether you just kind of put it away for a while and you're taking it back out, or maybe you even rehomed your original copy and repurchased it again. So my Hello There is, if I can locate it, here it is, my Light Sprites Tarot. Now this one was included in a trade package for me by the kindest woman. She didn't have to do that. I was totally not expecting it, but it was really cool. It was really special. And this deck grabbed me right away, and I remember seeing it on Kickstarter and I didn't back it, and now I'm like, I don't know why, because this is exactly something I would like. And it's funny because I was chatting with her and she said that she just felt like I needed this one for some reason, and she was so right. I instantly connected to this one. The funny thing is that I traded for the Brady Tarot, which is absolutely beautiful, and I'm excited to have that one as well, but if I'm gonna be honest, I got that package in on Monday. It is now Thursday. I'm not sure when I'm going to post this, but it's now Thursday, and I've played with a few of the others she sent, but I've used this one every single day, and I actually have not touched the Prairie Tarot yet, believe it or not, which is like the only deck I was supposed to get, but just this one right away, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know what this one's about. I love this, and I just feel so connected to it. I love this one. I actually got a Meet Your Spirit Guide reading done by Erin from Little Shop of Light and Love. Sometimes I accidentally flip those sometimes. Light and Love on Instagram. She has a really cool spread for that, and I really wanted to start doing more work with my spirit guide, but was having trouble connecting. So she did that for me, and it was amazing. She discovered exactly who they were, and it was so awesome, and everything makes sense and like was just coming together, and he is totally attached to this deck. Like, this is his deck, because that all happened on the same day that I got this package. She did this reading, and so this deck has just become something I pull from every day because it feels so connected to that spirit guide kind of figure, and I don't know. It's just really, really a special one. I really love this one. So I'm excited to keep using this. So that is my Hello There deck. And my Hello Again, I feel like it no, I'm gonna say full counts, but like, I didn't really have a deck that don't have a deck that I've repurchased, and I don't tend to keep around decks very long that I know I'm not going to use often. It happens. I'm not going to say it never happens, especially ones that I want to use seasonally. Like right now, I haven't touched like my Halloween Tarot in a Tin. I've not touched since last October, but that didn't like feel like it counted for some reason. So I'm gonna stop jabbering. My Hello Again deck is my illustrated Bestiary deck. Now this bag is chunky because I also have the illustrated Herbiary in here, which I'm hoping I still have them separated, but I might not. So we might be looking at some herbs too. Yeah, I don't have them separated. I like to mix them together, but so the reason I am saying this is my Hello Again is, oh wait, no, yes I do. Woohoo! Awesome. Okay. So the reason I say this is my Hello Again is because I've actually had the, sorry if I keep shifting around. I feel like I keep sitting on my feet weird. Did you ever do that and your feet start falling asleep? That's kind of what I'm doing to myself. So if I'm squirming, that's why. My feet are just falling asleep. Anyway, I had the large size book of this for a really long time. It showed up on our for sale table at the library. Someone donated it and it was in our book sale bin, and I don't know what made me look at it that day for some reason, but it caught my eye. It said illustrated Bestiary, and I could just tell from the font. I was like, that looks familiar for some reason. Then I see the word Oracle, so I'm just gonna grab it and bring it downstairs to Rachel and we're gonna look at it. And it turned out to be this, like the guidebook to go along with that Oracle deck, but it was the version you could buy. You bought the book and it came with those just like thin paper cards in the back. So whoever had donated it must have just held on to the cards, which, you know, was fine. So I just had the book, and my thought was that to get it from the sale, you know, it's $1, so I'm gonna pay the $1. And we were gonna try kind of like bibliomancy with it, and that was my thought, or even just use it as a reference book. And I did that a little bit, but not too much. So when I saw that the cards were coming out where you can buy it in just the deck with better cardstock, I jumped in it right away because I loved the artwork in the book and I did really love reading through it. I think it just, for me, was missing the cards. So this is definitely my version of the Hello Again, because now that I have the cards, I work with the cards and the full-size guidebook so much. This is another one I really like using for that animal spirit work, which is why I had it separated out from the herbs in the meantime, but I love these images. It's got the keywords like I like. I just feel like you can't go wrong with these cards. Any of the 3 decks, there's the Bestiary, the Herbiary, and the, I don't know how you say this one, Crystalliary? I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but animals, herbs, and crystals. And they're all equally as beautiful, and I love that they have the same back, so you can mix them together. So I have the animals and the herbs. I don't have the crystals because I like crystals, but they don't interest me, I guess, to the point of like having decks for them, but the cards are beautiful. All of this artwork is. So I'm really excited to be able to be working with this and the full guidebook again now that I can have the cards in my hand. It's very, very exciting. So that is my Hello Again deck, and it's the illustrated Bestiary, and that is the end of my list here. So I hope you all enjoyed hearing to me blabber, words are just coming out of my mouth today. I hope you all enjoyed hearing me talk about my workhorse decks today. I love tags like this and getting to like look at the prompts and be like, ooh, like what deck do I have that I think goes there? And this one was a really easy one because I went down the list and I was like, oh, obviously this one. So that was a really cool feeling because I knew like, wow, I really do have this set of workhorse decks, which was exciting. So I will link Simon's video, the original video, down below if you haven't seen that. It's so much fun, and I've been just loving watching his videos. He really just has a very kind spirit. So I will link that down below. And as always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.